Guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are back with some more Godzilla X Kong figures. We've got ourselves the mini figures. Yes, there are minis this time around for the Godzilla vs. Kong, or Godzilla X Kong, whatever you want to call it, film, and we have 4 different figures. Now, I think I've got all 4 here. I can't say absolutely for sure, because some of them are actually a little hard to see. And there is a way to tell what figure is in what package, and that is always something that people want to know. That's definitely information that's good to have, but it is at times hard to tell. I do have to give a huge shout out and a thank you to my good friend TGR Racer on Instagram, who is actually the one that pointed out to me how to tell, but it's actually hard to figure out. Now, I will try to show you guys exactly how you do it. So if you look here at the underside of the packaging, in here on this little area, there is a number. It's so hard to see, but if you are in the store and you actually take your cell phone out and you put the flashlight on and you shine it in there, the reds are the easiest ones to see. There are 4 different colors to these crystals. There is red, blue, purple, and I forget what the other, orange I think is the other one. So there's 4 different colors. The colors may make you think if you buy one of each of the different colors, you'll get one of each of the different figures. That is not how it works. There are numbers here on the underside, and once we pop this plastic off, we will try to show you the number on the underside. But again, you can see, pretty cool looking when it comes to the packaging. I like the fact that they are given to you in a crystal like this. Again, I also like the fact that there are different colored crystals, and then the actual artwork here moving along is pretty much like we have seen through the course of the entire toy line. And obviously shows off one of each of the different characters as far as what you see in the film. But down here it shows you, again, collect them all. You can see all the different figures that are in this line. So, now comes the fun part, and the part where I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, because I could tell what these 2 were. I had a very hard time trying to establish what these 2 are, but I think I have them. I could be wrong. We'll figure it out here in a minute. I may still be on the hunt for another one, but let's go ahead and start popping these open, and we'll see which ones are inside. So once you actually pull the packaging off and you take a look at it, you can kind of course, see through it, as it is a translucent crystal. And you can see that we have inside here the shape of some form of a creature, obviously contained within the inside of this. And you can also see some information over here. But right there is your number, right here at the bottom. So you kind of have to peek like this when you have it in the store, and then you have to look for the numbers on the underside. So this is why it is so hard to get an accurate look at it. But again, if you use your flashlight when you are in store, it does help. It does make it easier. But clearly Playmates doesn't make it easy for you to figure it out. So before I even go ahead and do that, I do want to give you guys the numbers for the different figures. So according to my good buddy, TGR Racer, he had let me know that the numbers for the different figures, it's 41A-2 is Godzilla Evolved, 41B-2 is Shimo, 41C-2 is Kong, and 41D-2 is Scar King. So we're going to see how we fare here with these figures. I can't see, this one is... looks like 41B, I'm pretty sure, is what we have in here. So that should make this Shimo if we are correct. So let's go ahead and pop this open. And would you look at that? There you are. It absolutely is Shimo. So that's really cool. He's absolutely correct when it comes to the numbers. And you can see the inside does sport a pretty cool pink look. My son was... asking if he can have these, even though I'm going to buy him the figures anyway. Once I confirmed which ones were for sure, which ones I'm going to buy them anyway for him. But he still wants the crystals, so I'll just have to put these off to the side and save them for him. Now this one looks like it is in fact Godzilla. Kind of looks like him there through the packaging. And if you can get a good look at the inside of that packaging, I think you could probably just tell straight away what this is potentially, because you can obviously see again what creature you have in there by looking at it like that. But yet again, we can come down here to the numbers, and This one is A, so that would definitely make it Godzilla, which it obviously looks like it is Godzilla. And to open them, you just kind of have to move them open like that. And there we go. I dropped everything, but there is our Godzilla. And again, we're going to grab the next one and move on through. Definitely hoping that we got the right ones, because I was able to tell the numbers of those two. I'm not as confident with the blue ones because they are harder to see. But it looks like we're doing good because I can definitely see some form of an ape right there. But again, the numbers down here, this is C. Boy, it's so much easier to see here than it was at the store. C here. So we'll pop this open, and obviously we've got ourselves Kong. And he actually looks pretty decent, so we'll put him over there. So that means that as long as my eyes didn't betray me with this final one, this should be Scar King. There we go. It absolutely is. Now I just took out everyone off to the side there, but it was in fact Scar King as well. So that means we've got all 4 of the minis, and that also means that my good buddy TGR Racer was completely correct when it comes to his information. So now that you have an idea on how to figure out what figure is in what crystal, let's go ahead and jump to a quick closer look at these figures and check them out from there. So when it comes to our Godzilla Evolved, you can see he looks a little goofy, specifically in the head. He's got a very strange look to him. His mouth, for some reason, seems oddly long. You can see we've got the inside of the mouth painted with a pinkish tone. Nothing going on when it comes to the teeth, but it is very small, so I'm not surprised. The detail looks okay, honestly, in some areas better than we see on the more mainline figures, like running along the body. You can see that the detail definitely pops a little bit better than what you see on the mainline figures. The spines of Godzilla also don't look so obnoxious because we do have that same solid pinkish tone running through the course of the back, although it does disappear almost entirely right here on the tail, which does give it still a little bit of a goofy look. But obviously there's no articulation or anything, there's no painted nails. We do have just that bluish tone for Godzilla, the pinkish tone running down along his back, but we do have a little bit of that greenish tone on the underside, basically running just down through the chest, because as you lead into the stomach, it is gone, and we don't have it moving down through the underside of the tail or anything. And then again, if you take a look at it from this side, you can see it looks pretty much the same on both sides. Definitely not a great figure, but for a mini, it is pretty fun. And they've even painted the eyes out actually better than they paint the eyes out on the larger figures, because they actually don't look so gigantic, though they do still look pretty big. But again, it's a little hard to paint an eye that's that small on something like this. But I think the sculpt looks okay. The pose is pretty cool, and they've captured the likeness of the Godzilla Evolved fairly decently, but it honestly almost just looks like the mainline figure. Same pose, same positioning of the legs, it seems, and everything, and obviously without the articulated joints or anything. But Godzilla looks okay. Then we've also got Shimo. Now, Shimo does look pretty cool. He's a little bit bigger than Godzilla here. You can see that the detail does look pretty crisp on him. I actually think for sure it looks better on this mini than it does on the mainline figure. And the head sculpt looks fairly decent. We again have those blue eyes. We have the purplish tone moving along the back of Shimo, and obviously we don't have the translucency to the spines or the crystals or whatever you want to call them like we do on the mainline figure, but they still look really cool. And up here on the head, doesn't look like we're missing paint on so many of those kind of crystal-like spines that you see on the back of the head of Shimo. And then you can see that that paint runs all the way out onto the tail of the figure. The tail looks pretty decent. Also very similar to the mainline figure, again, as far as like the positioning of the body, the tail curving in the same position and everything. So it really does feel like they basically just took their mainline figures and removed all of the articulated joints and then just shrunk them down to mini form. And again, it looks pretty decent over here. No, painting for the teeth or anything, just like we saw in Godzilla. And pretty much the same type of coloration. The spines on the back are way darker in the purplish tone than what we see running down through the tail. Now, again, I don't know if that's how the creature looks in the film or not, since we haven't really seen it yet. But it does look pretty cool, actually. I definitely like the Shimo figure as well. And then we've got Kong. Now, Kong, I think, actually looks pretty decent also. Definitely has a very nice sculpt to him. He does have his teeth painted, which, thankful for that, because Kong without painted teeth would look a bit off. You can see the inside of the mouth also looks quite nice, painted with a pinkish tone. The eyes are painted, though they're so small they're actually really quite hard to see. And we even have the variation of color to Kong's body. Like, they didn't skimp out when it comes to this mini, in my opinion. Like, you can see that we have that lighter grayish tone for his snout and stuff. You can see the lighter grayish tone for his chest. We have the scars painted out. We also have the darker browns for his body painted out. All of the detail looks really crisp on the figure as well. Like, really nicely done. And then, of course, the power glove, or whatever you want to call it, beast glove that we have here, also looks quite nice. Not quite as much paintwork as you see on the mainline version, but still, for a minifigure, the paintwork on this is exceptionally impressive, even in the glove area. And then, of course, you turn the figure around, you have all that same really nice detail here on the back. I would say, so far, the Kong is the best figure of the bunch when it comes to these minis. It is just a really, really well done minifigure. One of the best minis I think I've ever seen. And then we've also got Scar King, and the Scar King also looks quite nice. Something with the apes in this toy line. The apes always look really good, and then the reptiles not as good, but still, Shimo looks pretty decent. Godzilla, he's been a wreck the whole time. But you can see that the sculpt also looks quite nice for our Scar King. You can see the paintwork resembles him quite nicely, again with the reds and the whites and stuff as you move through his body. He also has the whiplash over his body. Definitely not removable on the minifigure, that's for sure. You can see that we also have the nice fur detail again through the body. Again, quite vibrant like we saw on the Kong. You've got the whites there in the arms, moving down into the hands. You've also got the same for the feet. Again, basically just the tips of the toes, but it does run up onto the feet. But again, the figure is so tiny, I don't expect perfection when it comes to the paintwork of something like this. But you can see the sculpt looks really good from the backside. You can also see that he's got a pretty cool pose as well, with one arm up in the air, one arm down. So definitely, again, a really nice round of minis. I am intrigued when the film does come out to find out if there are any other kaiju. Like, we do see some other creatures and stuff in the film, I think in Hollow Earth, moving through, like chasing Kong and stuff. So hopefully we'll get some other creatures as well in the minis. And, this won't be the end of it, because why would you re-release a different Kong and like a different pose and a different Godzilla and a different Scar King, stuff like that in different poses? I would like to see other creatures as well. So fingers crossed there is a bit more in the film, but this line of minis is definitely quite nice. Being minis, they are definitely quite small for a size, like height-wise for Kong. You're looking at around 2 inches or 5 centimeters. Scar King is going to be a little bit higher at about a little under 2.5 inches, or right around 6 centimeters. Godzilla is around the 2-inch or 5 centimeter mark, and Shimo is definitely going to be a bit smaller at about 1.5 inches, or around 3.5, closing in on 4 centimeters. So for a size comparison to further show you how small they are, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day human being next to our Godzilla X Kong minis. And you can see, as I said, they are quite small overall, as you would expect for minifigures. We've also got the 6-inch version of the Godzilla X Kong Godzilla here, which clearly towers over the minis, as well as 2 randomly chosen Mattel Jurassic World minifigures next to our Godzilla X Kong figures, which you can see the Godzilla X Kong figures are smaller than the Mattel minis as well. And then one final minifigure comparison, we have 2 of the Captives line from the Jurassic World Captives next to our Godzilla X Kong figures, yet again showing you that these minis from the Godzilla X Kong line are quite small. So these brand new Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire minifigures are pretty fun. For minifigures, they are actually really well done as far as the detailing and paintwork aspect, at least when it comes to the apes. Of course, Kong is really nicely done, like easily the best of the minis if you ask me, and Kong has been consistently, I think, the best figure from the Godzilla X Kong toy line. Like, all the time, he just really has beautiful, detailed, really nice paintwork, and usually nice articulation, but of course when it comes to minis, not so much here. The Scar King is also quite nicely done. I would put the Scar King in second place when it comes to the overall quality here. I think the Scar King figure has some nice detail, pretty cool pose, and some decent paintwork to him as well. Then we've got Godzilla. I think actually I should put Godzilla last, I would say, when it comes to this line. I should have went in order, because I would say Shimo's a little better than Godzilla, but the Godzilla just has an awkward look to him, a little bit of a goofy look here for his face, and his fingers are oddly rounded out. He just looks strange. It's not a terrible figure, it really isn't, but it's definitely not one of the best here. I would say it's probably the worst of this group of minis. And then you have Shimo, which I think Shimo does look pretty cool. Again, I can't really say too much when it comes to screen accuracy, but I think they've done a good job on the sculpt. The detail looks crisp. The paintwork looks okay for what it is. Again, a really nice mini if you ask me. So as a whole, I would say all four are at least okay, two much better than the other two. Again, the apes are way better than the reptiles, but they're still not terrible. You know, none of them are what I would say are awful. They're just, some are a little better than others. But if you are interested, head to your local Walmart. Again, use the information supplied at the beginning of the video as far as how to distinguish the figures from each other, so you don't have to buy extras. You could just buy the line straight out instead of, you know, buying a bunch of repeats. And of course, like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.